about this very, very controversial item of fluoride, Mr. Daniel Stockin. And of course, Mr. Stockin is a health researcher for the Lilly Center, a public health and environmental health concern located in Brentwood, Tennessee. And of course, Mr. Stockin, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And to tell you, Mr. Stockin, how delighted we are to have you here this morning. And I think that our audience has already identified this setup that we have here, and I think this might be our first over the last 25 or 30 years. But nevertheless, I think it's very, very important because the issue that we're going to deal with this morning is an issue that people might have a difficult time relating to unless they can identify this issue of fluoride. And so that's what we want to talk about this morning, about this as an issue, as a controversy. And of course, before we do that, let's give you an opportunity to give us some information about Daniel Stockin.
Okay.
Your background, your education, and some of the things that led you to the Lilly Center as a health researcher.
Well, thank you. I'm one of those people, I have a background in public health and environmental health. I've been in it for 17 years. I'm one of those people that you used to see, or some people do see, that put a big white suit or suit on, or one of the big respiratory protection systems on their back, and I used to dive into spills of radioactive materials, of biologic agents, dealt with chemical hazards, hazardous waste. So that's what I kind of cut my teeth on in my public health career. And over the years, I've worked in health care as well as in environmental health. And we got involved in this. I work for a company called the Lilly Center. We offer public health and environmental health training classes is what we do. We got involved in this issue about fluoride, sort of not really planning on doing it. It came at us kind of sideways. And some people in this area may see signs on the side of the road that says fluoridated drinking water. Well, my boss had a reaction on her skin, and she was asking me one day, could it possibly be caused by fluoride in the water? She was new to the area, had never been around fluoridated water. Well, I did what I've done hundreds of times in my career. I backed away from a chemical and just looked at it. What does it do in the body, and how does it affect it, and these kind of things. What we found just made our jaw drop. And a lot of information on this nature has come out in the past few years. And we have found that the majority of health professionals, certainly average citizens, and people at water districts just don't know some of the real basics. So that's all we wanted to talk about today, keep it real simple and real practical. And so our idea is to just present some of these facts in the way that the average person, you don't have to be a scientist, anything at all, because there's a real couple of fundamental key points that we would hope folks listening to this can take away.
Well, you know, one of the things that when we think about fluoride, I think most people generally relate that to some kind of dental operation, of dental science, of cavities, and et cetera, et cetera. But what you're about to tell us now is that this is an issue that covers not only dental science, but all of these things that you have in here have some aspect of that of fluoride in it. Let's talk about it from that perspective.
Sure,
talk
sure.
to us about that.
Most people are only familiar with their toothpaste tube. It says fluoride on it. And we've always thought that fluoride just prevents cavities, and we've been doing it for about 50 years or more. The issue is that a bunch of information has now come out that we're not just getting fluoride in our toothpaste. We're getting it in our water, and we're getting it in a lot of other sources. But what people don't know is that fluoride is actually a poison. If you look on the back of your toothpaste tube, you'll see there's a warning. If a child swallows more than is used for brushing, it says to call a poison control center. Most people never really read that. So the thing that we start talking to people about is that fluoride is a cumulative poison, and that's a really key point. What that means is the little bits that you get over the years start adding up, and it's the cumulative lifetime effect that can cause a number of health problems. So that's what we wanted to talk about. And most people don't know that fluoride comes out of the earth. It looks kind of like this. It's just it's calcium fluoride. This is where it's usually found in earth. But the kind of fluoride that we use today to add to our drinking water that we said to prevent cavities in kids, entirely different than this. And so I wanted to talk about that and talk a little bit about the history of it. It's been going on for about 50 years. And so now we've had our first full generation of people who've grown up getting little doses of this accumulating poison. And that's one of the key issues, is that's why the health effects are happening. And cities across the United States are starting to reject this. 6 of 7 cities in early November that were looking at fluoridation rejected it. And so there's a lot of issues. They affect certain groups more than others, and we want to talk about that. We think your viewers would be interested to know that.
Very good. And of course, we're getting ready, Mr. Stockin, for our first commercial break, after which we'll come back and we'll give you an opportunity to further inform us in reference to this as an issue, and to perhaps give us any kind of advice that we might need in order to understand it better and to fight against it. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. The guest is